Hello and welcome, book community. Welcome to the Contented Narrative. So this week I'll be looking at 1984 by George Orwell. And yes, this is the Penguin cloth-bound classic. I love the cloth-bound classics. I have just off camera my whole hardback selection and everything like that. And it's I don't know why, I just feel a little bit better about reading it like that rather than a paperback. But so I read 1984 when I was much younger. As you tend to do in secondary school or high school, however you want to pronounce it. And I read it and I was like, ugh, okay. And then as I was building up my cloth-bound classic collection, I went back to it. And honestly, when I reread it, I was like, I'm glad that I'm going back in and I'm rereading some of these classics that I was forced to read at school, because it's given me a whole new, outlook on the reading. And I feel like as an adult as well, when you're reading it with the adult slant as opposed to a children's slant, you're kind of going, I can see how this can happen. So obviously, if you haven't heard of 1984, I am honestly shocked if you haven't. But if you haven't, that is absolutely also not a problem. If you've not read it, again, that is not a problem, because sometimes I feel like there's such pressure to read the classics that you don't want to read them, and sometimes you're like, when you're like, everyone's boasting about how great a film is and you're like, do you know what, I don't want to go see this film because it's just everyone's bigging it up so much that I feel like I'm going to be let down. And I must admit, the ending got me and I was mad as hell, but I think that was the point of the ending of the book, sorry. I feel like you're not supposed to be happy with the ending of the book. But you're following Winston throughout throughout the book, and he's just, he's not a lovable character. He's not. And even when he starts deciding that Big Brother is not for him and he wants to live his life, it's for selfish reasons. He just wants to have sex with a woman and it not be, for the sole reason of procreating. He wants to be able to express what he thinks, but it's not that he's thinking in any massive terms. He's just like, oh, they tell me when to eat, they tell me when to drink, they tell me when to exercise. I just want to read in my own time. And I love the fact that the main character, Winston, is just an everyman. He's just, do you know what I mean? He's not some big, bemuscled hunk of a man that goes, oh, I'm going to go fight the Big Brother and the government and all of that. And he wins and everybody's happy and there's celebrations in the street. He's just a guy that's literally looking to usurp Big Brother for his own personal reasons, where he goes, I want to say 2 + 2 makes 4, not that 2 + 2 makes 5. And I think there's something about his character that kept me hooked. I feel like if it was a character, how like sometimes you're reading a book and the character can do absolutely everything, anything they put their mind to, they can do it. Stop a moving train, they can jump it, almost like a Superman character where there's literally no flaws in everything they do. And even when they're getting beat up, there's only one scratch above their eye kind of character. And I feel like because Winston's kind of like, I just like the pretty seashell in the little paperweight. I like writing on paper and, and keeping it. And I think that's kind of why I kept with him, because I was like, he's just exactly what everybody else could envision themselves to be. It's just somebody that's like, I wake up, I go to work, I do what they tell me to do, I come home, I'm at home, they tell me what to do and I do it. And I think this is why it's maybe stood the test of time, because even though it was written way back when, and obviously 1984, that is well gone, you can still see how there's those things in place where it's like you work in a 9-to-5 job, you're turning up, you're doing your job, you're coming home, you're not really doing much when you get home, you're just watching your TV, you're working to pay your bills. And some people can work to enjoy their lives. And I'm not going to start on a whole, socialist revolution kind of thing. That's not it. But I can see the similarities in this book, 1984, that is still happening today. And it still resounds with people today. And I think this is why I love reading the classics as you get older. Because I feel like when you're younger and you're reading the classics and you're going, I mean, as a child, really, yes, you're going to school and all of that, but are you really understanding the drudgery that is a 9-to-5 job, that is working for a living and not doing anything else? So this is what I mean. It gets a 4 out of 5 from me, only because, as I said, I know the ending is supposed to piss you off, but it did annoy me so much that, and it still had me thinking about it afterwards, but it did annoy me to an extent that I was like, I kind of was hoping for a little bit more of an uplifting ending. But I mean, it is what it is, and it is a really good book. So I would definitely recommend you guys giving it a go. And especially if you've read it as a child, you know, give it a go again. I feel like there's a lot of books that you read as children that you don't fully understand until you're older. But that is my opinion, of course. If you agree or disagree with anything in the comments, please let me know. If you read it as a child and you loved it, please leave it in the comments and let me know. But thank you so much for your support. And remember to always keep it contento.